Welcome to our presentation about Textile Center's wonderful upcoming journey through Iceland, May 1st through 9th, 2026. I'm Carl Reichert. I'm the Executive Director for Textile Center, and I will be the host on this tour. And with me is Sue Peipel, who is our wonderful agent who helps put this tour together and helps deal with all the Iceland Air arrangements and whatever other questions you have. But I wanted to just acknowledge that our tour partners are Blueprint Tours in the US. That's Sue Peipel and her husband, Charlie, and Travel Beyond in Iceland. And we'll be talking a bit about Hjalmar in a few moments. So the tour is really been put together by Sue Peipel, and this is our fourth tour. So Sue, maybe you just want to say hello and just introduce yourself for everyone.
Yes, hello everyone. I am based out of a Chicago suburb. My husband and I own Blueprint Tours, and we have been excited to show people the world since 1998. And we're so excited to bring another group from your Textile Center to Iceland. I think this is such a unique tour that Carl has put together, and I'm sure you'll enjoy it. But I am here to answer any questions, any travel questions you have.
Thank you, Sue. So again, we're recording the presentation, and then when we're done with the presentation, I'll hit pause for the recording so then we can just answer any questions that you may have. Another reason this tour has been a really great success for us for the past 3 years is Hjalmar Oscarsson of Travel Beyond in Iceland. He is our guide, our driver, and our storyteller, and he's helped put this tour together for us. And he has helped us establish really wonderful relationships with all our textile presenters in Iceland. And he is very engaging and he's very accommodating. And I tell you, he's just really a wonderful partner to have on this tour, and I've come to know him very well. And I know that everyone who travels with him find him to be very delightful and always available to us on this tour. So I'm really looking forward to seeing Hjalmar again in the spring. We really focus on the western side of the island. It is quite a drive to go around the full island, but we start near Reykjavik. We fly into Keflavik Airport, and we go to around Reykjavik for the spa, and then we go to the south side of the island for to meet Gudrun for a class, and we stay in the Golden Circle area for the first few days, and then we spend time in Reykjavik, and then we travel far to the north to Blönduós, where is the location for the Iceland Textile Center. So the island, we do that drive around on the western side. The trip is 9 days and 8 nights. We depart on May 1st, and we leave from Terminal 2 at the which is really nice because it's a lot quieter terminal than Terminal 1, and we fly direct on Iceland Air. The price includes airfare and a $600 donation to Textile Center to support our tour programming. A single supplement is the price for the double occupancy is $5,996, airfare and donation included. The single supplement is $1,440. Hotel rooms are expensive in Iceland, so that's really what contributes to that price. And land-only package is $5,170. There may be some people who want to join us who are not in the Twin Cities or Minnesota area who would like to fly directly to Reykjavik on their own in another manner. So we do have the land-only package. Reservations are now open, and thanks to Sue, she is managing those reservations for us through the We Travel portal. And I'll be sure to post this link in our chat. And also, it's also on our website, so you can go and see the full itinerary. All of that's on our website as well at Textile Center with the link to the We Travel portal. It's really a great portal because it allows Stu to manage everything from the airline tickets to any upgrades someone may want to purchase on the airline, etc. So we will meet at Terminal 2 on May 1st, and I will meet you at the airport, and we will have some luggage tags for you, and it's an easy check-in process, and then we go to the gate, and it's really a nice time to get to know everyone, and we'll certainly have a meet and greet before we even leave for Iceland in the months ahead. But it's a really simple flight. We leave from Terminal 2, arrive in Reykjavik, and then I help us all navigate through customs and so forth. It's Iceland Air doesn't have like they have food service you can pay for on the flight or in advance, but we also I know a number of us bring our own. We just buy something from the retailers in the airport and bring it onto the airplane. It's quite simple economy class tickets, but we all have a I think a really great time traveling together. And then we touch down in Iceland and we get there early in the morning at 6:35. And that's where Hjalmar will meet us at the airport once we get through the customs. And then we load up the van with all our luggage and we head off for a bit of a drive just around the area. We go to a geothermal area and then ultimately later morning we arrive at the Sky Lagoon. The Sky Lagoon is one of a couple places that are really popular for tourists when you first arrive, also locals. There's also the Blue Lagoon. The Blue Lagoon is near the volcanic area where the volcano has been active. But we found that the Sky Lagoon was actually much more pleasant and it was really wonderful. It overlooks a bay outside of Reykjavik and it's just a really wonderful spot. And I guess I have photos, so I'll just keep going forward. And we have a private motor coach that's with us for the whole trip. And then we go to the Grimsberger Hotel for checking in and a welcome dinner. So the geothermal springs, when we were last there a year ago, it was sunny. It was really wonderful. Sometimes it can be misty and gray. This time it was sunny. The colors are really spectacular. You see all the bubbling water. You can smell the sulfur. And there's a wonderful hike around, and then there's a lake that has just the bluest water I've seen in Iceland. It's just really lovely. And this is the Sky Lagoon. And I tell you, this little bathing or the spa area is really warm water. No matter what the temperature is outside, it feels really good. There's a bar, so if you want to have beverages, you can just wander up to the bar. They have little seats that you can sit around those rocks. It's just really relaxing, especially after an overnight trip to Europe. And these are not my photos, but photos from their website. They also have then a steam room, a dry sauna. They have a cold plunge pool. They have salt scrub, lots of really wonderful amenities. And when you go through that area, then you can come back in and sit in the pool. And no, there's no rush with that. We just have a really good time. And then there is a cafe there where we can have a light lunch if you want to have something to eat. And then we last year actually it was fun because Hjalmar took us to Grundavik. That's the town that had to be evacuated because of the volcano. So we got to see the volcanic berms that were created, how Iceland is using technology to kind of keep the flow of lava, kind of managing it, keeping it away from power plant, keeping it away from the Blue Lagoon, etc. So that was a lot of fun. And that really depends on conditions and if we can get into that area. But, he's always good about trying to find these wonderful little things for us as a surprise. And then this is a wonderful store that we visit where it has a lot of local makers and they sell a lot of yarn, a lot of sweaters and hats and gloves. And this is a co-op. And it is really a delightful place, which has just incredible Icelandic wool yarn. And I know people love to shop here. It's not the only place to buy yarn, it's the first place to buy yarn. So there'll be many other opportunities to buy yarn throughout the whole trip. This is our hotel. We're out in the countryside near the Golden Circle, Grimsberger. This is a really lovely hotel. Everyone has really loved it. The rooms are comfortable. The beds are super great. I love the beds in this hotel. And they have hot tubs outside. So if you want to take a soak, you can do that. Here's last year's travelers. They were actually taking some cod liver oil, toasting. They thought they'd give that a try. But the breakfast buffets are always really wonderful and plenty of food and really great coffee. On the first full day, the second full day that we're there, on Sunday, we're going to go and do some wool dyeing with Gudrun. And Gudrun was here at Textile Center in October, and we had a class of, I think, about 14 students who studied with her. But Gudrun has become, and her organization is called HESPA, and she has become a really good friend of the Textile Center. And she is just an incredible host. This is her home and her studio. She has all these hot plates set up, and we learn about natural dyeing with Icelandic plants. And we kind of pair up and we each have a different pot and we learn about the whole process of natural dyeing. And while we're there, she also creates, not only is she cooking up natural plants for natural dyeing, but she also has a wonderful lunch for us. It's all homemade, this wonderful egg bake that she says, oh, this is what the ladies make at church. So and she makes some homemade bread and the cheeses and so forth. So we enjoy a lunch there with Gudrun, which is really lovely. And then, we continue on in the afternoon and she teaches us all about, the process of using different ways to create color. And so that's the lunch table. And then here are all the wool roving or the wool yarn actually that we dyed, and everyone gets to take one skein with them. And so and this is our group when we're all done. And it really is a wonderful day spending with her at her studio. And she does a lot of dyeing of yarn, which you can find in all the yarn shops in around Iceland. The second or the Monday there, day 4, we go to the Uppspunni mini mill and yarn shop, which is where we get to see lambs. And then we go to a greenhouse, which is where we have tomato soup and homemade breads. And then we go into the national park. So this is Hulda on you see here on the image on the left holding the baby goat. Hulda owns this farm with her family. And when we go into her barn, you can actually get to hold lambs. And that's probably one of the biggest things. The first trip we did was in September. All the sheep were coming out of the mountains. The lambs were kind of fully grown. But in May, they're lambing. And you get to see these adorable little lambs. And I tell you, everyone is really, just enthralled by the lambs. And then we go into her mini mill where she shows us the different types of how she prepares the roving for actually spinning it and dyeing it. So she has the mini mill, which she does for farmers in the south of Iceland. And here's a picture of me with a scarf that I wove during the last winter. And this was some of her yarn that she had spun from. It's the 3 natural colors of her sheep: the white, the black, and the gray. So I created this plaid pattern, and she was thrilled to see my scarf, and I was thrilled to show it off because that's half the fun of fiber art, right? Showing what you make. So she's got this incredible machinery that was imported from Canada, where we learn about how she processes the wool, and we get to go through the whole mini mill area. And then she has a shop upstairs, and everyone is acquiring her yarn. And I have to say, I bought a lot of her yarn. Most of it's for knitting, but she does have like a double ply that I could use for weaving, and it was a lot of fun. And here's a picture of my loom while I was making the scarf. And then I used her Hold-A-Bond. That is a applied yarn that actually worked fine on my loom. And here is our past traveler, Clara, in the wonderful greenhouse where they use geothermal energy to raise 80% of all their tomatoes. And the tomato soup is delicious. And if you have an allergy to tomatoes, we have other things that we can order for you. We do want to pay attention to anyone who's got certain kind of food restrictions. But the bread, lots of gluten in that bread, was really delicious. And the tomatoes, just to see how they do the vines and how they raise tomatoes all year round in Iceland. And that's a big part of this experiencing about the geothermal energy that Iceland has. Then we go into the national park and we get to see where Parliament met in the 900s. And we get to walk through where actually this rift where the continents, North America and Iceland, are kind of pulling apart. And it's just a fascinating place from a geographical perspective as well as from geology perspectives. We get to see these amazing waterfalls. This is probably the most famous waterfall. And I have to say, the roar of that water is just a thrill. And that's our group from last spring. We always try to do a group photo right there at that historic spot. On Tuesday, that Monday evening, we drive to Reykjavik. So Tuesday is a free day in Reykjavik, and there's just so much to see from the cathedral to the shopping. Reykjavik is just a lovely town, very walkable. You can also get, there's car services that you can hire if you want to get to a museum that's on the outskirts of town. But it is a very walkable city, and it is absolutely charming. I went up to the steeple of the cathedral and took this view. I think this is the trip prior where we had actually a clear day, and it was really fun to look over the colors of Reykjavik. The shopping is great. The walking is great. The people are friendly. I can't say enough for how nice it is to spend time in Reykjavik. Last trip, actually, I went with a group of I think we had about 9 travelers who all wanted to go to the secondhand shops. And the most famous are called the Red Cross. And the Red Cross shops, you can actually find Icelandic sweaters and other clothes. So I walked with everyone to the secondhand shops and set everyone free to do all their shopping. And some people found some really great finds. And it gets dark late, like around 10 o'clock at night. So the days are long in early May, but the views are really beautiful in Reykjavik by night. And then we have another free morning in Reykjavik. And in the afternoon, we have an optional. If you really like felting, we go to see Anna Gunnarsdottir, who is an incredible exhibition artist who has created works for museums around the world. Here she is in her studio, and then you can see how she does these sculptural forms and actually in an exhibition. This was in a location in Iceland. But she is going to be coming to Textile Center to teach in September of this coming year. We're excited about that. And she is just so lovely, showing us how she makes all these vessels. And then once she shows us how to do it, we can also give it a try if we so choose. And then I will have to say, hot dogs. Love the hot dogs, right, Sherry? The hot dogs are fantastic. They're lamb hot dogs. And the shopping, there's just so much incredible shopping. This is the concert hall, a relatively new concert hall in Reykjavik. And of course, the merchandise is really first rate, very lovely. And I love the color palettes. Every year seems to be a little different color palette in what the merchants are putting out for the season. On Thursday, we have a journey where we get to know about Istex. Istex is the cooperative of all the sheep farmers in Iceland, and they process almost 99% of all Icelandic wool. The other 1% are processed at the mini mills, like we would have seen with Holda earlier in the week. But 99% of all wool is processed at Istex, and we go into the factories and actually get to walk on the factory floors, which is really amazing. So we get a guided tour. We get to see all the bales of wool that have been prepared. They are dyed. It's really quite amazing. We get to see the machines that card the wool, that spin the wool, and you get to touch the wool. It's really just really amazing to go into these factories and to see how they spin and the process. So we start at the end of the process where they're actually creating the skeins and getting them ready for market. And so the Lopi yarn is what they're most famous for. And the Lopi yarn is just incredibly warm, and it comes from the Icelandic sheep have 2 coats. They have the outer coat and the inner coat, and then they also have the lamb's wool, which is very, very soft. And then we have a day drive and we go up to Blondos where we see the scouring facility. This is not as elegant as the other shop. This is where the farmers, all their wool has arrived and they do the actual cleaning of the wool. And so we see the process of how they actually clean the wool, the process of washing it and preparing it so that they can ship it down toward Reykjavik to the other plant that we visited earlier in the day, where they will process the wool. So these machines are as old as I am. They were built in 1964, so you can know how old I am. So it really is amazing to see that they keep these machines running and running and running, So um, And then they have, where they spin them and dry, but they have to be very careful that they don't felt the wool. So this process is really quite remarkable to see how they treat this wool. And then they have this machine where they create the big bales. Then on Friday, we spend at the Icelandic Textile Center, which is on the north side of the coast, and we actually stay at a wonderful hotel. It's an older hotel, no elevator. So if anyone has, need, we have some rooms on the main floor for those who can't go up a staircase, but we make sure all your luggage is hauled up the stairs so you don't have to haul it up there yourself. But the town is small, it's really lovely. And this is the Icelandic Textile Center. It used to be a girls' school, and they have residencies there. So people will do a residency and they'll spend a month or 2 months upstairs. This is Johanna, who is wonderful at teaching Icelandic embroidery. And she is just a delight. We really enjoy our time. She actually created this tapestry with Icelandic embroidery, which is now being prepared for exhibition. I don't think it's exhibited yet, but we got to see in the previous trips and actually contribute our own stitching to the tapestry if we wanted. But the Icelandic, the old tradition, it's really a lot of fun. It took me the past 3 trips to actually figure out how to do it, and now I understand how it works. So that's really exciting. But people really pick it up quickly, and it's just a really delightful day spending with the folks at the Icelandic Textile Center. We go upstairs. This is where the residencies are held. So if anyone's interested in applying, it's, it costs, there's a fee for it, but you get selected, it's juried in. But we've had a couple Textile Center members who have done residencies here in this beautiful area that overlooks the ocean and the river. And it's just the most incredible workspace. And they have looms, they have knitting machines, we get to have that kind of sneak peek. And then, excuse me, they also have a tech lab, which we got to tour and see all these incredible machines, like this felting machine. They have electronic looms. They have long arm sewing machines. And then in the afternoon, we go to the Textile Museum, which they have an incredible collection of Icelandic heritage. And so that was really, it's a highlight for many people to be able to see some of the textiles, the clothing, the costumes, all of that are in this wonderful museum that's next to the Textile Center. And here's like bobbin weaving, her bobbin lace, spinning wheels, the incredible pieces that they have on exhibition. And then you can see in the distance, this is from the bay, looking off to the textile center across the bay. And it's just really gorgeous. And I think I took this shot around 8 o'clock at night. It just really, the long days, it's really fun to see. The northern lights are a little more tricky to see in May than they are when the nights are longer. But we've had northern lights in Minnesota recently, so I don't think the craving for northern lights is going to be quite as intense, but I hope that we can see them. And the hotels will let us know if the northern lights are out. So if you want to be notified in the middle of the night. And then we make our way back from Blönduós to Reykjavik to Keflavik to the airport, and our flight leaves at 4:45 in the evening, and we arrive in Minneapolis at 6:10 in the evening because we kind of fly back during the day. And I just have to say that Hjalmar knows how to pack all our luggage in the bus. And we discover that as we make our way during those days, we have more and more luggage to try to fit back there, but we get it all in. So we encourage people to, support the Icelandic economy. And it's just, this is a shot from our fall trip when we were there in September, but I mean, it is just idyllic. And when we were driving back to the airport this last May, there was a snowfall during the night, and these mountains were just incredible to see the snow on the mountains. And we drive through a pass, and it's really gorgeous. So, with that, Sue, is there anything you'd want to add before we close the program?
I think this is phenomenal, Carl, and it's bringing back so many good memories. And yes, Sherry's here, one of your repeat travelers. The only thing I would say is this trip is the sign up's going to close in the middle of January.
Yes. And this will probably be our last tour to Iceland for a few years. We've done four in a row because I've had a lot of interest in it. But I think we'll take a little pause and then we'll come back to Iceland in the future. But it's not like this will be, next year. So it's really an opportunity to take advantage of this program and to meet these incredible artists. I have to say, what makes this tour are the artists. Oh, I didn't even mention the meals. Hjalmar has a way of finding those wonderful restaurants, and the food is always incredible. And no one has complained about a lack of food. And we have meals that are included in the tour price, and we have some really lovely dinners. There's always opportunity to try. If you want to try shark, you want to try horse, you can, but he doesn't plan those for the menus, but there's always an option if you are really wanting to be adventurous. But I have to say, our meal times are really a time where we build such camaraderie as a group, and it's really a delightful to have this shared interest around textiles, but also to see this incredible landscape and to have this wonderful time together in a country that is so unique. There's nowhere else in the world like it, and to see these geological formations, the hot springs, the geyser, the rivers, the nature, the sheep, and to have Hjalmar be our guide and to tell while we're on the bus some wonderful Nordic sagas about the Icelandic history is really a delight.